Well, it may be summer break, but there is no break when it comes to the recruiting roundup. Welcome in to the Ortho Arizona Recruiting Roundup. I'm Claudia Collins alongside Cody Cameron, and we just want to reflect back on some commitments we saw throughout the month of May. So I'm just going to kick us right off over at Basha with quarterback Brody Bears, who committed to NAU in late May. And NAU always does a great job of recruiting our quarterbacks. It makes sense. Arizona is basically QBU at the high school football level. So we've seen that before. I think we'll continue to see it again. But he's someone that you and I both got to kind of see come up. You know, he had a front row seat to Damon Williams Jr., he's doing his own thing. He's truly a dual threat quarterback, though. He had 2,915 passing yards and 27 touchdowns. He's got a 72% completion percentage. He had 283 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't have more offers, but I think NAU is an excellent fit.
Yeah, and you got to be patting yourself on the back if you're the NEU staff right now because Brody is a heck of an athlete and he's a tremendous, tremendous competitor. And so, what he's going to bring to the table, Claudia, and getting a commitment this early on into the cycle, he's going to draw more players in because he's a phenomenal talent. Like all the accolades that you said, he is a winner out in the field and he's a leader. He is going to attract players. I cannot be more happy for Brody and the entire NAU situation here. Just kind of being the alum, got to show some product placement there to the Lumberjacks. But shout out head football coach Brian Wright, the DPP Tim Roshman, who's awesome. They do such a phenomenal job, and this is a big land for the Lumberjacks.
All right, let's move over to Hamilton safety Nico Jandro, who committed to Oklahoma. He had over a dozen offers, but finding his home at Oklahoma, he made his commitment in mid-May. And there was an article posted calling him the end to OU's commitment drought. He was the first commit since early January. So big move for OU, big move for him. Before I let you take over, Cody, check out this video of him making his verbal commitment. I think it's really sweet.
It sucks that we can't next year.
Well, how cool is that, Claudia? And he's an amazing person on the field, but how about his highlights? This was kind of like a Swiss Army knife defensive player for Hamilton last year, and he does it all. He is a violent tackler, tremendous form tackling, always driving his hips through contact. And when you see him and his twin brother, Bo, and you actually did a great story on these two pretty much last year. When you see these guys, you're like, wow, these are high school football players. They are ready to go right now. And when you watch Nico play, he plays to his size and he can cover. He moves well in space. He does it all in that Hamilton defense. This is a huge commitment for him and OU to come into the state of Arizona, know what they want, and get an early commitment from Nico. He is a heck of a football player.
All right, on the Campo Verde defensive lineman Jake Jones, he had about 10 offers before committing to Washington State in late May. And before I let you get into his on-field production, I just have to point out that he's putting up numbers in the weight room and not little numbers, we're talking big numbers. He's squatting the most on his team, 633 pounds, benching the most on his team, 433 pounds, and his clean, of course, top of his class at 325 pounds. Are we kidding me? Oh my goodness. That would be an interesting weight room to be in. But what is Washington State getting out of Jake Jones?
I love Jake Jones because if you're serious about playing college football, you need to attack the weight room in the offseason. And that's what Jake does. And that's what he did. And he plays like that too, which is a perfect translation to the field in this past fall. His film this past year and him elevating his game from his sophomore to junior year, he was lights out. He was the region defensive player of the year. Same thing. He splits double teams. He sheds off would-be blockers. And that new coaching staff at Washington State, Coach Rogers, who, hey, Claudia, guess what? He played at Hamilton High School. He's a local Arizona product. He was super successful at South Dakota State as a player and as a head coach there. When that staff coming into Wazoo, they like the kind of the aggressors, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They want to play physical. They want to play violent. Well, guess what? That's what Jake Jones brings to the table. That is his MO. He is nasty. He's ferocious. He's violent with his hands. And those weight room numbers, Claudia, that you just mentioned, He's going to go into that weight room freshman year, and he's already going to be putting up top numbers in that program. And so, big congrats to Jake Jones. I think it is a perfect fit.
Last but not least, we're over at Liberty linebacker Hudson Dunn, who committed to Minnesota in late May, just a few weeks after his official visit. Now, I've got to say, first thing that came to mind, visiting Minnesota in late May is like a dream if you're from Arizona. So that sounds pretty good. But let's just throw out a couple of stats from last season. He had 57 tackles, 13 and a half sacks, and 24 tackles for loss. He had over a dozen offers, but it's Minnesota that's getting the Open State Champion out of Hudson Dunn.
Yep. And when you think about the defense players in the state of Arizona, me and you have said this a couple of times. What's the name and who do you think of representing the state? It is Hudson Dunn. He's going to make that transition, playing a lot more inside linebacker, which is where Minnesota is recruiting him. Played a lot of edge, outside backer, force flat player last year for Liberty. Super athletic, very versatile, very strong lower body, can cover, can tackle, great leader, coachable. Kid is extremely coachable. He is smart. He has the tangibles. I mean, my cliff notes on this kid, everything that you possibly want. That's what Hudson Dunn brings to the table. Minnesota's played a couple bowl games here the last 3 or 4 years. They know the Valley a little bit well. And to come in here, get a kid like Hudson Dunn over some monster programs, that's a job well done by that staff. I'm really happy for Hudson Dunn.
You know, Cliff Notes are supposed to be the short version, and even that was fairly difficult to do. But that's what happens when we're talking about Hudson Dunn. And that is all for this edition of the Recruiting Roundup. For more recruiting news, head to sports360az.com.